Okay, let's go ahead and get this video started. We're in a different location. I am filming at a studio that I like to go shoot at. I'm trying out a different setup with video and I hope this works. We have natural lighting. I'm sitting in front of a window, so there's no like fake or artificial lighting going on. So I hope that that kind of makes this a little bit more, you're gonna see exactly how this looks on my skin. But we do, with that being said, have like, you know, shadows and highlights. Parts of my face are gonna be lit better than others depending on where I turn. So we're just gonna preface that with this. Let's start with the first big tip when creating a sweat-proof makeup look. This is the most important thing, and that is go in light layers, okay? Repeat after me. Go in light layers. The more makeup that you put on your face, the more it has the ability to slide and sweat off. So the less that you are applying, the less chance of it to sweat off. So this is the biggest tip that I have. I always think that we just are going heavy-handed with makeup to begin with. Like, I feel like people use too much to begin with, and I'm always of the opinion that less is more. With that being said, let's get into this. The first thing we're gonna do is talk about a primer. I'm not gonna spend too much time on this, but primers do different things. They can mattify, smooth, hydrate, illuminate, or they can create a sticky base to the foundation or to whatever makeup you're gonna put on top of that. So that's called a gripping primer. And I think a gripping primer is going to be awesome for creating a sweat-proof makeup routine. So I am gonna go ahead and use a gripping primer. Like I mentioned, there's a couple that you can choose from, but what I'm going to be using today is the e.l.f. Jelly Pop Dew Primer. And what a gripping primer does for the skin is that it kind of gets sticky and tacky. People aren't exactly used to this consistency. They're like, why is this so sticky and gross feeling? No, that's what you want. That's what you want with a gripping primer. You want it to really create that base, and when it is sticky, you then immediately go in with your foundation or whatever makeup you're gonna put on top of it, and that helps adhere the makeup onto the skin a little bit better. So I'm using the e.l.f. Jelly Pop Primer. And then I am gonna go in with the e.l.f. Camo CC Cream. I did a whole comparison to this with the IT Cosmetics CC Cream on my Instagram. I'll leave a link to that below if you wanna check it out. Basically, I feel like this is a really great summer complexion product. It lasts a whole lot better than the IT Cosmetics, and it can be sheared out or built up, and it's really easy to go very light-handed with this. And since I am a little self-tanned, I brought my foundation adjusting drops from Physicians Formula. I might have to mix in a drop or two. This is great for summer. If you don't want to buy a completely new shade for your foundation and you're self-tanning, this is a great option. So we're going to apply the primer. So I have about 2 pumps of the primer. It has like a very like thick jelly sort of consistency. It rubs on the skin really smoothly. And this is what you want. You want it everywhere. And then it starts to feel a little sticky. And then I'm gonna take my eye cream, which is the Cetaphil Gel Eye Cream, and I'm gonna mix a dot, literal dot of the Milani eyeshadow primer in with that, and I'm gonna prep the eye area. So it's mostly eye cream with a little bit of eye primer. I find that this combo really helps to prep that eye area, keep it nice and smooth, and it helps the concealer not cake and stick and look gross under the eye. It's a really great hack. If you've never tried that, try that. So try that as your skin prep, a gripping primer and mixing a little bit of the eye cream with the eye primer. My jelly primer got a little less sticky, so I'm going to apply just a little bit more because I forgot about the eye thing to tell you. You kind of have to work quickly with the gripping primer. You want it to feel sticky when you go in with your CC cream or foundation product or whatever you're using. So let's see, is this a good match? It's gonna work. I'll just use some bronzer. It might be a little light today, but that's okay. And then I'm just gonna go immediately in with a foundation brush and start buffing that in. You kind of want to work a little, like I said, a little quickly when you do have a gripping primer because it might dry down a little bit and it's not as effective. So you want to put the foundation on top of it when it is sticky. It's gonna be a different experience than what you're used to when you use a primer, but it's really going to help the longevity of your makeup to make sure that you're using that gripping primer and applying the foundation immediately. If we have sun coming in and out, this is what happens when we work in natural lighting. But you guys tell me if you like this setup or not. We're giving it a try. Then I take a beauty blender that has been, I put it under the sink and wet it and squeezed all the water out so it's a damp sponge. And then I'm just sort of pressing in any streak marks that I might have, any other spots to make sure I have a flawless application with my CC cream. All right, so we have the foundation, well, the CC cream completely blended in, and I can already feel that it feels lightweight on the skin. I didn't use, but maybe a pump. I used a half a pump, put it on, and then I did another half a pump. I feel like that is the best way to go with foundation and CC creams and stuff like that, just because we don't want to, like I said, cake it on. Otherwise you will look cakey. My skin, let's look at this. It's looking so good, just doing that. Now let's start with the concealer. This is a trick that I have mentioned multiple times. I think I last mentioned this trick in my Makeup for Beginners series with how to apply getting a flawless base. So a lot of these tips are in that video, but we're really gonna focus on summer right now. All right, so my big concealer tip is, again, less is more. I wanna share with you how much I put on, how I let it set, how I set it. And this is especially important in summer. All right, so I'm gonna share with you how little I put on. We're gonna do a dot, a dot, a dot, a dot, a dot, and a dot. That's it. You can highlight the center of your face if you want. I'm not gonna do that today. I just wanna make sure that I am going very light-handed. So I have that much concealer. That is it. We're not applying any more. Then I'm gonna take my finger. I'm not tugging on the skin at all. This finger is just here to spread the product out over the eyelid. So we're concealing the eye, giving it a nice base instead of, there we go. And then we are spreading it out over here. I'm just using my finger. I am not tugging, I am not pressing, I am not pulling. I'm literally lightly spreading that product. You see how that covered everything that I wanted it to cover? And I did not need to use a ton of product at all. Any leftover you can put on your nose. That's what I do. And then this is the big tip. Okay, we do not want to go in immediately with our makeup sponge to start blending this out. You want to let this marinate, if you will, on the skin for like a minute, depending on the concealer formula that you are using. Some may dry down faster, depends on what you're using, so just be aware of your formula. But I'm using the Tarte Shape Tape Ultra Creamy, not the regular one. The regular one I hate, but the creamy one I love, and it doesn't set down super fast. But with this formula, I know that I can let it sit under the eye for at least a minute or two before I go in with my makeup sponge to start blending it out. But it still feels nice and creamy under the eye. It has not set down, just be aware of your formulas. And what this does is makes it to where you are not wiping away any coverage. It's pointless to put all this concealer down and then wipe it away with your beauty blender immediately. The best thing you can do is let it sit on the skin. You're using less product because, again, we only went in with 4 dots for 2 eyes. And then we're spreading it out. It's giving us that coverage, and then we are not immediately wiping it away. So I've talked for about a minute, right? Then you go in with your makeup sponge, blend it out, blend out the edges, just pouncing it. I'm pouncing it against the skin just like that. Okay, let's chat about setting the makeup with our powders. If you are very, very dry and you don't like setting powders, they're a little too much for you, you can skip some of this and just do a setting spray at this point in your makeup routine. I love the Urban Decay All Nighter. It works for all skin types, and at this point in the makeup, this is where I would spray it if I weren't doing powders. You can also kind of do one of these things but not the other. One thing you can do is just set your under eye area where the concealer is and then do the setting spray. But since I am a little more oily and I live in a very hot and humid climate, this is what I do. So I'm gonna take my pressed powder, which is the number 7 powder, and I take a powder puff, which is way better than a brush in my opinion because you're pressing it onto the skin. You're using a light amount of powder, again, because we're not caking this on. We are not baking at all. We're not baking. We're not doing that. We're pressing it in. The concentrated amount of powder is really going to get us that precise set to our makeup without overdoing it, and it's going to keep everything in place. So look under your eyes, pounce out any settling you might have had, press that powder puff, fold it like a little taco, press it in, and then press it under the eyes. You're just going, kind of rolling it, pressing it, getting that concentrated amount of light powder under there. You also want to do this on the areas of the face that are the most crease prone, sweat prone. Take your powder puff and then start setting the face. This is concentrating that powder without it looking too heavy. You can also do this same technique with a loose powder. I'll just show you how I do it with the loose powder. Tiny bit amount of powder right there, pressing that, and then you can set the whole face this way. We're not gonna use a brush, we're really concentrating it, but we're not using a lot of product. This really kind of ensures that we're getting the face completely set. Now, I don't do this whole powder puff all over the face every day, but this is what I do when I need it to last through heat and sweat and all that stuff. Otherwise, you could take, a powder, use the powder puff under the eyes, and then take a brush and set the face. But I feel like the powder puff technique, pressing it all into the skin on a very hot and sweaty day, is really going to be a game changer for you because you're using less powder, but you're concentrating it and really pressing it into the skin. At this point in my makeup, I will be using my setting spray. Again, I use the Urban Decay All Nighter. This is where I really locked and load my complexion. I've spent this time laying down a great base that I don't want to move. And so I'm gonna spend the time and spraying it down with some setting spray before I start laying everything else on top of that. This is going to help all these powders and creams and all that blend together nicely, and it's also going to help the makeup stay a lot longer. So I spray in the middle of doing my makeup and I spray at the end. You can also spray this as many times as you want during the course of doing your makeup. You can spray it before. Literally, if you are oily or you really need help with stuff spraying, spray it before foundation, spray it after foundation, spray it after powder. Like, go crazy with it. You can't do too much of this. So this is where I am spraying it at this point in my makeup. I'm gonna let that dry, and then I'm going to move on with the rest of my makeup. I don't feel like I need to sit here and do my entire makeup routine for you because I feel like that will be kind of a little pointless because you're here for the sweat-proof tips, which really have to do with the base and the powders and stuff like that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create my makeup look. Again, I'm going light-handed with all of my products, and I'll share with you what I do at the end. Okay, at this point in my makeup, or let's say you've set your setting spray and you're ready to lay everything on top of it. If you take a look at your skin and you find that it's a little too matte and flat looking, I'm gonna share with you just one quick product that I use to make it look glowy and natural, like dewy again, which for me is important because I like a glowy makeup look. This is the Laura Mercier Candle Glow Finishing Powder. There's some other products that I'll link below if you want to get a similar finish. So this changes the finish of your skin. That's why it's called a finishing powder. So basically this is a luminous powder. It's not a highlighter. It just goes on the skin and sort of makes it look a little glowy. So I will take a brush and just quickly apply that on the skin to give it more of a natural glow before I start laying the rest of my makeup on it. If you want more details on this technique, I have an IGTV that I will link below that is how to look glowy even if you are using powders. And then after this is when I'm gonna apply the rest of my makeup. I'm gonna share with you what I use, but I feel like it's gonna be a little bit redundant to just do the rest of my makeup on camera, so I'm gonna do it off camera and then come back for the finish and some final thoughts on this. So I'm gonna be using my Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. I'm gonna use my Patrick Ta blush in the shade She's Adorable. I'm gonna use my Persona Cosmetics highlighter in the shade Zuma. And then I'm gonna create an eyeshadow look, just very simple, with my Born This Way Natural Nudes eyeshadow palette from Too Faced. I'll apply a Jaclyn Cosmetics liquid lipstick. What else am I using? I'll put like a half lash on, and I'll be back here in a second to share with you that final makeup look with you. All right, I got the rest of my makeup done, put some hair on while I was at it. And I'm really loving the way that this look turned out. I think it's really pretty and fresh. I went really simple, you know, I didn't lay everything heavy on top of my base that I laid down. The very last thing that I do is I make sure to go in with my setting spray one more time. It's super important to set everything at the very end of your makeup because that's really, it's going to lock everything in again. So again, I'm going in with my all-nighter. I prefer a setting spray that is more of a long wear setting spray when it comes to a sweat proof makeup. For me, that just works the best. If I use more of a glass skin or dewy skin or whatever those are formulated to, they just don't work as well for me. The all-nighter is honestly the best and my holy grail, and something I always have and always use in summer. So I'm gonna use this right now. Do not be shy with that setting spray. You really want to just like douse your face in it. It is like a hairspray for your face, definitely going to keep everything locked and loaded. Also helps everything meld down and all the powders look good together on your skin. I just love the way that this is just a staple product in my routine, whether or not it is summer and whether or not I need my makeup to be sweat proof. Okay, so that's it for today's makeup tutorial. I hope this was helpful. This is basically, like I said, my go-to type of routine when I want my makeup to last really long throughout summer. This is the routine that I will be doing all summer long this year. If that routine changes, I will definitely update it next summer or as the seasons change. There isn't much seasons change here in Houston, if we're being honest. It's usually just really hot here. So this works truly year-round for me. So yeah, I hope this was helpful, and if you have any questions or comments, make sure you leave them below so we can have a discussion. I hope this helps you create the best makeup look this summer, and I hope it is sweat-proof and life-proof, and I hope it works out super well for you. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you all in my next video. Bye!